3,500 years ago, God gave Moses 10 commandments for his people, the Hebrews, to live by. Well, that's if you follow the Judeo-Christian belief system, which more than 2 billion people do follow today. But whether you do or not, the 10 Commandments has a lasting legacy and impacts our everyday life today. So, let's take a quick look at each commandment. Generally, it is believed that God gave Moses 2 tablets. The first tablet had 4 commandments on it, which told you how you should relate to God. The second tablet had the last 6 commandments, which told you how you should relate to others. Number 1, you shall have no other God before me. So back in the day of Moses, this was pretty big, as most people were polytheistic and had tons of gods. So right here, God is setting a line in the sand and saying, I'm number 1 and you really can't be worshiping other gods. Today, that's kind of the norm, as most people are monotheistic, but this was very demanding 3,000 years ago. Number 2, you shall make no false idols, nor bow down to it or worship it. So again, you see that God is really making himself very unique here, as normally you would build a statue of a god, put it in a temple, and have everybody worship it, by bowing down. God is like, nope, I don't want any of that. No statues, no paintings, no anything. Number 3, you shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. So basically, keep God's name out of your mouth, unless you're using it in a reverent way, such as preaching, teaching, reading scripture, stuff like that. If you're just randomly saying God, or if you're Christian, Jesus, for any reason, then that's kind of disrespectful to God. Make sure you don't do this. Number 4, keep the Sabbath day holy. So this will depend. If you're Jewish, that's a Saturday. If you're Christian, at least for most Christians, that means Sunday. Either way, whatever day you do this on, it has to be kept holy. Go to church or the synagogue, and definitely don't do, bad things on this day. Number 5, honor your father and your mother. So now we're moving on to the commandments that tell you how you should relate to others, and it begins with parents. And pretty sure every parent out there loves this commandment. Not as much for the kids, but generally speaking, you have to respect mom and dad. This could be a little harder for some of us since we don't all have great parents, but it's a commandment, and it generally leads to good family relationships. Number 6, you must not murder. So this one might seem kind of obvious, but remember 3,500 years ago, murder was a lot more common than it is today, and there were some cases where it was acceptable, like in the Code of Hammurabi. According to this commandment, murder is just not acceptable. The fact that we consider it to be so common today really just shows you how much of an impact the 10 Commandments has on our society. Number 7, you shall not commit adultery. So generally speaking, this is interpreted to mean don't cheat on your significant other. But there's a lot of ways to look at this. It could just be for those who are married, or maybe it also applies to boyfriend-girlfriend situations, and sometimes it's even said to apply to even thinking about cheating on your significant other. Whichever way you look at it, don't. Number 8, you shall not steal. Basically, taking anything that does not belong to you or borrowing something and never giving it back is stealing. So for this commandment, you can't do that. This is very important, as stealing was very common a long time ago, and it generally led to all these other commandments that you shouldn't break. Number 9, you shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. In other words, don't lie about other people, don't spread rumors, and don't talk gossip. Unless you're positive about what you're saying, you're breaking this commandment. It's important because talking bad about others is just always going to lead to more problems, like murder. Number 10, you shall not covet. Probably one of the hardest commandments to actually stick to. Coveting is another way of saying wanting what's not yours, feeling jealous, envy about other people and the things they have. probably most people wouldn't be able to tell if you're coveting. So this is something that is internal. If you catch yourself wanting what is not yours or desiring to have something somebody else has, then you're breaking this commandment. Try not to. Despite being written over 3,000 years ago, the 10 Commandments have a lasting effect on our society. Maybe not the first 4 about God, but definitely the last 6 on how we relate to others. Governments all around the world have looked to the 10 Commandments to set some basic standards, such as don't murder, don't steal, don't commit adultery, don't lie, or at least in court, right? So if we look around our society today, our court system, our financial system, even our education and school system, the 10 Commandments is alive and well. And it might be a religious thing, but at this point in our society, it's become a moral thing.